There is one truth that very few people dare to admit. Motivation is not always there. It comes quickly and disappears just as fast as the way you scroll through your phone every night. There will be days when you wake up with no excitement left for the goals that once set you on fire. Days when your body just wants to stay in bed and your mind whispers, "Let's do it tomorrow." And then tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into next month. You look back and ask yourself, why am I still stuck in the same place? Why do all my plans start strong but end in silence? The answer lies in something far simpler than you think. Discipline. Not harsh, rigid discipline, but the kind of discipline you build when motivation is gone, when no one is cheering you on, when everything seems to be working against you. Because once motivation disappears, discipline is the only thing solid enough to pull you forward. Even if it's just a small step, it is still progress. Today, we're going to break this down together. How do you turn discipline into something you can rely on, even in your weakest moments? We're always taught that to begin something meaningful, you need to feel motivated. But no one tells you this. Motivation is a creature that loves to run away. There are mornings when you wake up full of fire, feeling like you could change your entire life. And then there are mornings when everything feels so heavy that even reaching over to turn off the alarm feels like a battle. Motivation comes and goes. It shows up during moments of excitement when you hear a great song, watch an inspiring video, or imagine a brighter future. But it disappears the moment reality kicks in. Fatigue, pressure, procrastination, and fears you try to hide. The truth is, no one feels motivated every day. Not even the people you think have iron discipline. You didn't fail because you lack motivation, you simply misunderstood its role. Motivation is just a spark. It helps you start, but it cannot keep you going. And when you rely too heavily on motivation, you fall into a familiar loop. Excitement, effort, exhaustion, loss of interest, quitting, guilt, waiting for motivation to return. You wait and wait, but motivation doesn't come back, and you remain exactly where you were. That's why you need something else, something that doesn't disappear when life gets hard. Something quiet but persistent. Something that doesn't care whether you feel like it or not. That something is discipline. In the next part, you'll clearly see where real discipline begins and why it is the foundation that allows you to change your life even when motivation has left you. When people hear the word discipline, most imagine a perfect version of themselves. Waking up at 5 a.m., exercising consistently, working without distraction, controlling everything flawlessly. But that isn't discipline. That's an illusion. Real discipline is not about being stronger than others, not about having iron nerves, not about superior willpower. Discipline begins with something far simpler. You design an environment where you don't have to rely on willpower. Look back at the habits you failed to maintain. You didn't quit because you were weak. You lost because your environment was stronger than your will. You want to eat healthy, but your fridge is full of sweets. You want to work out, but your trainers are buried under the bed. You want to learn a language, but the moment you open your phone, short videos are waiting. No one becomes disciplined in an environment designed to destroy discipline. So here is the first truth. Discipline is not about conquering yourself, it's about removing the things that make you lose before you even start. When you rearrange your living space, simplify your workspace, limit distractions, and make good habits easier to access, you put discipline on autopilot. You don't have to force yourself, you simply redesign the playing field. And from here, you'll realize an even more powerful truth. When your environment changes, your identity begins to change. This is second truth, and it will show you why discipline doesn't truly begin with action, but with the person you decide to become. We often think that discipline starts with action, exercising, reading, working, studying. But that's only the surface. Actions are never the root, they are the result. The root of discipline lies in one question. Who do you believe you are? If you believe you're someone who always quits, your actions will follow. If you believe you're lazy, starting will always feel hard. If you believe you're not the disciplined type, you will sabotage your own plans. People always act in ways that align with the identity they assign themselves, whether that identity is helpful or harmful. That's why many people can stay committed to work, family, and responsibilities, yet fail to be disciplined with themselves. Deep down, they've never believed they deserve priority, growth, or a better version of themselves. Discipline is not forcing yourself to do something. Discipline is recognizing that you are the kind of person who naturally does it. Think of someone who runs every morning. He doesn't force himself to run. He runs because it's instinctive. I'm someone who takes care of my health. Someone who reads daily doesn't need pressure. They read because I'm the kind of person that doesn't go to bed without learning something. So if you want to become disciplined, ask not, how do I stop being lazy? Ask instead, what would the disciplined version of me do? Then act as if you are already that person. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you send a signal to your brain, I am someone who respects my word. Once, then twice, then 10 times. A new identity begins to form, and when identity changes, discipline becomes natural. And from here, you'll uncover an even greater truth. Discipline is not a sprint. Discipline is repetition. This is third truth, where small, quiet, consistent actions hold more power than any short burst of motivation. Discipline doesn't come from explosive moments. It comes from the small rhythms you repeat every day. No one builds a life on enthusiasm alone. You know it. I know it. If motivation were truly that powerful, we'd all have become our best selves long ago. The truth is, motivation is the flash of light. Rhythm is the electricity. Deep change comes from small, steady actions, sometimes painfully boring ones. 1 page a day, 5 minutes of exercise, a short note for tomorrow's plan, 1 temptation refused. Nothing dramatic, nothing impressive, yet they are powerful enough to reshape who you become. Because discipline isn't about doing something intensely, it's about doing the right thing repeatedly until it becomes as natural as breathing. And then you realize you don't need inspiration. You don't need iron willpower. You just need to keep the rhythm. Like brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to do it. You do it because it's part of life. If you build habits like this, mental toothbrushing habits, you stop struggling with discipline, because it becomes who you are. The third truth teaches us this. A small step taken daily is worth more than a big step taken once. And when you understand these 3 truths, environment, identity, and rhythm, you'll see that discipline isn't distant or mysterious. It's simply the outcome of the system you're building. Now we reach the most important part of today's lesson. How do you build a discipline system that still works when motivation is gone? Step 1. Create a small anchor that forces you to start. Discipline isn't born from strong willpower. It's born from a starting point so small you can't justify refusing it. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they start with goals that are too big. You've said it before. From tomorrow, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. Next week, I'll read 50 pages a day. Next month, I'll train at the gym for an hour daily. Then the next morning comes. The bed is too warm. Work is overwhelming. Time is short. Pressure is heavy. And you're back at the beginning. The truth is, the human brain resists big changes, but accepts tiny ones easily. So to build lasting discipline, you don't start with willpower, you start with an anchor, an action so small you can do it immediately. For example, if your goal is reading, read 2 pages a day. If your goal is reflection, write 3 lines in a journal each night. If you want to exercise, do 5 push-ups. If you want to wake up earlier, wake up just 10 minutes earlier than today. You don't need to change your entire life in one day. You just need to give your brain a reason to begin, and momentum will follow. A small anchor is like laying the first brick. It's not beautiful, it's not impressive, no one applauds it, but without that first brick, the house remains just a drawing on paper. Remember, there is no big discipline, only small disciplines repeated daily. Step 2. Gradually increase the level when you're ready. Once you've started with a small anchor, your discipline is like a newly lit flame. It's weak, but alive. Your next task isn't to blow on it hard, it's to feed it slowly. The common mistake is increasing difficulty too fast. Reading 2 pages jumps to 50. Walking 10 minutes turns into a 5-kilometer run. 3 lines of journaling become 2 pages. The result is always the same. Overload, quitting, back to zero. Discipline doesn't come from leaps, it comes from micro-growth. Remember this rule. Only increase difficulty when the current level feels too easy. When 2 pages no longer feel like effort, move to 5. When 10 minutes earlier feels normal, move to 20. When 5 push-ups feel light, do 10. Don't rush. You're not building achievements, you're building a new identity. A disciplined person isn't someone who does a lot in one day. They're someone who keeps leveling up even slightly. Let your progress move like a clock hand. No one sees it shift second by second, but months later, everything is different. And this accumulation leads you to step 3, the most important step, where discipline becomes a lifestyle, not a short-term effort. Step 3. Bind yourself to the long game. Once you have your small anchor and know how to progress wisely, the final thing you need isn't more motivation or more time. You need a framework, something that holds you when your mind wants to escape. Because there will always be days when you're tired, days when you're bored, days when you want to throw every plan into the corner and choose comfort. Discipline doesn't break because you're weak, it breaks because you lack boundaries to stop the slide. This is where you create binding commitments, a fixed time when the habit must be done regardless of mood. A rule you never break, like never miss 2 days in a row. A form of accountability, reporting to someone, tracking publicly, or marking habits daily. These commitments don't take away your freedom, they free you from emotional chaos and indecision. When discipline is solid, you no longer battle your moods. You follow one simple rule. When it's time, you do it, whether you feel like it or not. Over time, what once felt forced becomes reflex. No thinking, no pushing. That's when you realize discipline is no longer a burden. It's part of who you are. At this stage, the journey is no longer about trying to get things done. It becomes something deeper. You are reshaping yourself. Because lasting discipline doesn't come from what you do today, but from who you believe you are. When you believe, I am a disciplined person, your actions naturally follow. A new identity forms, built from small actions repeated long enough to rewrite your inner story. One day you'll look back and realize what was once difficult is now routine. What once scared you is now a source of pride. What you used to avoid is now the first thing you do. That's when you understand discipline isn't about winning a battle, it's about becoming a warrior. And once this identity is formed, no lazy day, no slump, no loss of motivation can pull you back to the start. Because you're no longer trying to do it, you do it because it's who you are. Discipline isn't a flash of light on your energetic days. It's the small flame you protect at all costs. When the wind blows, when doubt creeps in, when life weighs heavy. It's not an emotional journey. It's a journey of choice.
Every time you show up without wanting to, every time you finish without excitement, every time you continue without applause, you rewrite your story. No one can build discipline for you. No one can create a better version of you except you. But if you've listened this far, I believe there's already a flame inside you, small but strong enough to begin. And like all lasting journeys, discipline doesn't ask you to change fast. It only asks you to move in the right direction and never stop. If this message made you want to stand up, to do something small, to start again after many failures, stay. Subscribe. Continue this journey with me. Because we don't chase motivation. We build a version of ourselves that moves forward even without it. In the next video, we'll face another uncomfortable truth. Why most people remain poor, not because they lack money, but because they lack mindset. This isn't just about finance. It's about how you see the world, how you make decisions, and how invisible limits quietly trap you. If you want to escape the loop that so many are stuck in, meet me in the next video.